You find out about your father's 60th birthday party through a blurry Instagram story. A cousin posts a shaky video of gold balloons, champagne towers, and all your siblings grinning beneath a glowing sign that says, "Cheers to the king." There's no mistaking it. That's the ballroom at the Glenworth Club. That's your dad's name spelled out in roses. That's your whole family, without you. You scroll, rewatch, zoom and squint. Not a single call, not one message, not even a passive-aggressive group text. Just silence. At first, you tell yourself maybe they thought you were busy. Maybe it was a surprise party and they'll loop you in later. But then you see the comments. Everyone looked amazing last night. Best party of the year. You're so lucky to have such a classy family. And that's when it hits.
You weren't invited.
You reread the captions 3 times. There's a weight in your chest that doesn't fully land until you call your mother. She answers, already flustered. "Oh, you heard about the party," she says, like she's tripping over the air. "You ask why you weren't included." She sighs. We didn't think it was the right look. You know how your dad gets about appearances. That's what she says. Not "we missed you," not "I'm sorry," just not the right look. You hang up before your voice cracks. You've been on the outside before, but this is different. This isn't just forgotten. This is intentional. This is cruel. And the part that stings the most, you know exactly what she means by the look. You don't dress like your siblings. You don't flaunt your savings. You still wear worn boots because they're comfortable, and you don't post photos of vacations because you'd rather just enjoy them quietly. They see that as poor. You see it as peace. But apparently peace doesn't match the party's theme. You spend that night alone in your apartment trying not to spiral. But the images keep playing: your father raising a glass, your sister in a sequined gown, your brother's smug little smirk, none of them even asking where you were. And for a moment, you think maybe they were right. Maybe you are the outcast. Maybe you do look too plain, too out of touch. Maybe you're the embarrassing one. But then slowly something shifts. You walk over to your bookshelf, pull out a file folder. Inside are documents you've kept quiet about for months: ownership transfers, silent investor contracts, a few acquisition records under a company name that nobody in your family ever bothered to ask about. And at the very top, stamped and notarized, venue lease agreement, Glenworth Ballroom. You sit down, and for the first time that night, you smile. Let them have their golden balloons. You'll be the one who owns the roof over their heads. You don't sleep much that night. Not because you're angry, though you are, but because your mind is already 10 steps ahead. You're not planning revenge, not exactly. You're clarifying reality. The Glenworth Club was struggling when you bought into it. A quiet acquisition tucked inside a shell company listed under a generic name. It wasn't glamorous, but it was profitable. And unlike your family, the building didn't care what you wore to a meeting as long as the check cleared.
You remember walking through its marble halls with the manager months ago. "We get a lot of old money types," she'd said. "They like to feel important." You just nodded. She didn't recognize your last name. No one connected the dots. You liked it that way.
But now, sitting there in the dim kitchen light, it feels poetic. They threw a party in your house and didn't even offer you a glass of water. So you decide you'll show up. Nothing dramatic, no grand reveal. Just attend, like any normal family member might. You don't own the club for spectacle. You bought it as a quiet chess move. But now it's time to use your queen. You take the morning to get dressed. You don't wear designer anything. You pull on a clean, ironed, button-down dark jeans and boots that look more expensive than they are. You shave, comb your hair, even wear the watch your grandfather left you just for the poetry of it. When you arrive at the Glenworth, there's already a valet line winding toward the front doors. You nod politely at the staff. The doorman doesn't recognize you. Neither does the front desk girl. That's fine. You walk through the first entrance, but before you make it to the hallway, someone steps in front of you. A man in a blazer. You can tell he's security from the way he stands.
"Sorry," he says, scanning you from head to toe. "This is a private event." You tell him your last name.
He squints, hesitates, then says it. Yeah, we were actually instructed not to let you in. The sentence lands with a strange kind of softness. Not like a punch, more like a slow, thick rain soaking through your coat. You glance past him. You can see the chandeliers inside, hear the faint music. It's all happening right there, just a few meters away. You could almost reach out and grab it if you weren't being treated like a stray dog. You nod, that's fine. You step back. The man seems surprised at your lack of protest. He doesn't know you're not retreating. You're repositioning. You walk around to the side entrance where deliveries are made. The staff there knows who you are, but again, you don't say a word. You don't want access to the kitchen. You want the moment to ripen. So instead, you sit outside, on a low bench beneath a tree. You sip a soda from the vending machine. You let the music wash over you like fog. From where you sit, you can see the ballroom through the tall windows. Inside, your brother is making a toast. Your sister's husband is showing off some flashy watch. Your dad is laughing with a mouthful of cake. And no one, not a single soul, wonders where you are. You're not sad. Not anymore. What you feel now is deeper. A kind of cool, lucid resolve. They think you're lesser because you don't wear your wealth like a billboard. But what they don't know is that you don't need the party because you already hold the keys. You pull out your phone. One call. That's all it'll take. Your thumb hovers over the contact labeled Miriam, venue GM. You don't call her yet. Not because you're hesitating, but because you want to feel this moment. The breeze is soft, the kind that barely lifts your collar. You sip the last of your soda and toss the can in a nearby bin. You lean back against the tree, and you watch. From your spot on the bench, you can see the laughter inside ripple like waves. Siblings clinking glasses, cousins sneaking photos. An uncle you haven't seen in years doing an exaggerated jig for laughs. And still no one looks toward the windows. Not even a flicker of concern. That's when it hits you. They truly don't expect you to show up, and more than that, they don't want you there. They've made peace with writing you out of their story. It stings, not with fire, but with ice. You remember being 10 watching your siblings get new shoes while yours were patched up again? You remember your dad saying, "You're tough, you'll manage," like survival was your only inheritance. You remember those silent car rides after family dinners, the ones where you didn't speak, because every time you opened your mouth, someone made you feel like less. You remember, and then finally you call. Miriam picks up quickly.
Hey, boss. Everything all right?
Hey, you say tone light. Got a small favor.
She's already moving.
Name it. I'm sitting outside the ballroom right now. Can we adjust the mood a little? A pause. Then she laughs gently. You got it. Give me 5 minutes. You hang up and remain still. No need to rush. Some music continues to spill from the doors. More laughter. Someone taps a mic, probably to announce another speech. And then, like a subtle shift in the wind, it starts. First, the music fades mid-song as if the speaker wires got snipped. People inside start looking around, puzzled. The mic lets out a short pop, then silence. The lights above flicker once, then again. You imagine your dad standing trying to wave someone down. He's not used to being ignored. The projector screen behind him fades to black. The waitstaff, your staff, suddenly stops pouring, stops serving. Plates are left half-carried drinks abandoned on silver trays. A slow unease settles into the party like fog under a door.
And that's when your voice comes through the speakers.
Not yelling, not dramatic, just calm, steady. Apologies for the interruption. The building owner would like a quick word.
You stand.
Dust off your jeans and begin walking toward the entrance. Security's still there. The same man who turned you away. He gets a message in his earpiece and turns pale.
You don't need to say anything.
He steps aside. As you walk in, the air is heavy with confusion. People are murmuring. You see your brother's brow crease, your sister tilt her head, your mom frozen mid-bite, Your father glaring at the closest staff member like he can command control back into the room. And then Miriam appears beside you, smiling politely. "Boss," she says loud enough for the nearest table to hear. "Glad you finally joined us." Silence. Absolute ice-cracking silence. Eyes lock on you. 100 expressions freeze in place trying to compute what they just heard. The music's still off. The lights still dimmed. And you just nod. Step into the ballroom you technically own. Past the people who thought you weren't the right look. The only thing that shines more than the chandelier above is the quiet power walking beneath it. You don't rush your steps. You let the silence stretch. Let the weight of it fill the room like perfume. Every eye follows you, not out of welcome, but out of confusion so thick it borders on fear. You can feel it rolling off them like static. Is this a joke? Did they hire him for something? Why did she call him boss? Your father recovers first, of course. He always was quick with a bluff. All right, he says, putting on his practiced laugh, the one that's more throat than soul. Some kind of prank. Did one of you kids plan this? He looks around, hoping someone will toss him a lifeline. No one does. You walk up to Miriam, who's waiting near the center of the ballroom. She looks like she's trying not to smirk. She holds a clipboard like a shield professional, as always.
Everything good, sir,
she says a little louder this time. You nod once, just a quick check-in. You don't look at your father. Not yet. Instead, you glance around the room just enough to meet some eyes. You see your cousin's jaw literally drop. Your sister's husband elbows her like, "Do something." You turn to the DJ. "Feel free to resume," you say gently, "whatever the guests prefer." He nods, still wide-eyed, like he's just realized he's been DJing for you this whole time. The music clicks back on. Lower this time. Softer. Background hum instead of party pulse. You finally look at your father. His face is tight now. Less amused. More calculating. You can practically hear the gears grinding behind his stare. He's trying to place you in this picture and failing.
"I didn't know you were invited," he says.
"I wasn't," you reply calmly. A few nearby guests shift uncomfortably. Your mother steps forward, fake smile, trembling. "You really should have told us you were coming." You tilt your head. "To the venue I own." There it is. The ripple. Not quite a gasp, but close.
"You don't need a mic. You don't need to raise your voice. The acoustics in this room were something you invested in." Every word lands sharp.
Your father opens his mouth, then closes it. No comeback comes. Just his eyes narrowing into something familiar, not surprise, not anger. Recognition. That's what finally cuts through. Not the money, not the ownership. The fact that you did this quietly, that you were smart enough to move silently while they underestimated you, that you grew into someone he didn't see coming and couldn't control. "I didn't know," he finally says. You nod. No one asked. It's quiet again, but not awkward. Just recalibrating. Like the whole room is catching up. And then, just for contrast, you smile. Not smug, not cold, just tired. Because the truth is, you never wanted this moment. Not really. You didn't buy the venue to make a point. You bought it because it made sense. Because it was a solid investment. Because you knew the value of steady ground, even when others were too busy chasing spotlights. But now, standing here, you realize something else: they will never see you, unless you put them in a room where they can't avoid it. You didn't crash their party. They crashed yours. You lean slightly toward your father, just enough so only he hears it. You made me feel small for years. Funny how space looks different when you own the walls. You don't wait for a response. You don't need one. You turn and walk back toward the edge of the room. Not to leave, just to breathe. Because now, they're the ones watching from behind the glass. You don't storm out. You don't throw insults or demand apologies. That's not your style. You let the party continue, but under a different rhythm, a rhythm you set quietly from behind the scenes. You make one call as you settle into a corner booth far enough away to avoid the awkward stares, close enough to keep your presence felt. "Hey, Miriam," you say softly. "Boss," she replies with a warmth that never makes you feel like just another client. "I want everything handled differently tonight. No special treatment for anyone. No more ignoring me." There's a pause, then a knowing chuckle.
Understood. I'll make sure the staff knows.
You sip your drink and watch. The waitstaff who had been stiff earlier now move with subtle confidence. They smile at you, respectful, not servile. They pass by your table, acknowledging you like the quiet force you are. Your family notices. Your sister's smile tightens. Your brother's eyes flicker with uncertainty. Your dad leans closer to your mother, whispering words you don't catch, but the tone is sharp. You lean back and take it all in. There's an unexpected satisfaction in seeing the shift, the small, almost imperceptible realignment of power that doesn't shout but hums quietly in the background. You think back to every time you were dismissed, the family dinners where you were the poor cousin, the job offers they brushed off the invitations, never sent. All those moments added up, not to bitterness, but to this moment of calm control. Your phone buzzes. A text from your sister. "Can we talk? Please." You don't answer immediately. Instead, you type, slowly, "I'm here. When you're ready."
You sit back and close your eyes for a second. It's peaceful in a way you didn't expect. The party goes on, but you're no longer an outsider looking in. You're the quiet eye of the storm.
And in that calm, you realize something important. Revenge doesn't have to roar. Sometimes it just waits patiently in the shadows until you decide it's time to step into the light. The atmosphere shifts noticeably when the lights suddenly dim. The upbeat chatter morphs into whispers as guests exchange confused glances. A faint hum buzzes through the speakers, then silence. The DJ's booth lights flicker erratically, and the music grinds to a halt. Your father's face tightens, annoyance and panic mingling in his eyes. He motions frantically for a staff member who shrugs helplessly. The guests, at first puzzled, begin to murmur, louder eyes darting around the room, searching for answers. The moment is ripe. Your voice crackles through the PA system, not harsh, just clear and composed. "Ladies and gentlemen, apologies for the interruption. The building owner requests your attention." Heads swivel in your direction. Your presence isn't yet known, but the voice has caught their attention. The subtle power of ownership, an unseen hand pulling the strings. The doors to the ballroom open gently, and you step inside, walking with calm assurance. The staff subtly parts like a red carpet, guiding you through the center of the room. Every eye locks on you now. The earlier energy of the party dims under the weight of this unexpected entrance. Your brother's confident smirk fades into a stunned stare. Your sister's poised grace falters as her eyes widen. Your mother's forced smile slips, revealing tension beneath. Your father glares, his usual command shaken, replaced by disbelief. Miriam walks beside you, nodding at staff who bow their heads in quiet respect. She whispers "boss" loud enough for nearby guests to overhear. The room freezes, breaths held. The secret you've kept so carefully now spills into the open. The man who was once overlooked is now the owner of their celebration space. You don't raise your voice. You don't make demands. You simply let the silence say what words cannot. This is your moment. The moment they can't ignore. You feel the room's collective breath hitch as you make your way deeper into the ballroom. People shift uncomfortably, the comfortable bubbles of their conversations burst by your unexpected arrival. The staff, once hesitant, now treat you with a quiet reverence. You catch the flickers of recognition in their eyes. Miriam walks confidently beside you, a steady reminder that this space answers to you. Your siblings glance at each other, exchanging nervous looks. Your sister's husband subtly steps back, the bravado draining from his posture. Your brother's jaw clenches tightly, eyes darting to your father for guidance that doesn't come. You stand near the center where the spotlight had been moments ago. You notice your father's lips press into a thin line, silent, restrained anger simmering beneath the surface. No one says a word. No one dares. You take a deep breath and look around. Not with triumph, but with calm clarity. You see the realization settle in the fact that the person they had tried to exclude is now the one who controls this very room. It's a quiet power more potent than any loud outburst. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your presence says everything. Your father clears his throat, trying to reclaim the room, but the words falter. You're not the little sibling they brushed aside anymore. You don't gloat. You don't need to. Instead, you offer one simple statement, a line meant only for your father's ears, but loud enough to echo through the room. I'm here, and I own this. Your voice is steady, your gaze unwavering. The room holds its breath, hanging on the weight of those words. And with that, the dynamics shift forever. You don't launch into a speech. There's no need for grand declarations or theatrical gestures. Your power isn't about spectacle, it's about quiet command. Your father, though, seems desperate to claw back control. You don't belong here, he says, his voice low but sharp. You meet his gaze steadily. I belong wherever I choose. A ripple of murmurs runs through the crowd. Some glance away, uncomfortable. Others exchange surprised looks, silently acknowledging your calm defiance. Your mother steps forward, her forced smile faltering.
We just wanted to keep things simple. You weren't part of the plan.
You raise an eyebrow. Simple for whom? Certainly not for me. You sense their discomfort deepen. The veneer of family unity cracks, revealing years of unspoken judgments and grudges. But you're not here to rehash old wounds. You're here to redefine the terms. You glance around, catching your siblings' eyes. No need for confrontation, just a silent message things have changed. You realize something profound in this moment. You don't need their approval to hold power. Your worth isn't dictated by their acceptance or rejection. The truth settles quietly in your chest. You're more than the poor cousin they tried to erase. You're the one who owns the stage now. And that ownership isn't just about money or control, it's about reclaiming your place. Without a final word, you turn and walk away, leaving a room full of stunned faces and unsettled hearts. You feel a calm settle over you, solid, unshakable, because you know this real power is not in being liked. It's in standing firm when no one's cheering. The days that follow are a quiet storm. Your phone buzzes relentlessly, texts, calls, messages from relatives who once ignored you. Apologies veiled in excuses flood your inbox. Miscommunication. We didn't know it was all so sudden. Your siblings ask for meetings for coffee, for chances to talk things out. Your mother sends fragile notes of regret. Your father calls, once voice tight with forced civility. Can we meet? I want to understand. You listen. You consider. But you don't rush to respond. Not because you want to punish, but because you're choosing your own pace. You're not the child who needed approval anymore. You're the adult who understands the value of boundaries. You respond only when you're ready, setting clear terms. Meetings happen, but on your conditions. Conversations are honest, sometimes painful but necessary. You realize how much you've changed, not just in the eyes of your family, but in your own. The wounds of exclusion have transformed into lessons of resilience. The silence that once echoed loneliness now hums with strength. You still feel the sting of past slights, but they no longer define you. And in this space of uneasy reconciliation, you find peace. Because power isn't about winning fights. It's about choosing when to engage and when to walk away with your dignity intact. You don't rush forgiveness. You don't leap back into the fold with open arms. That's not your style. You've learned that true power lies in choice, the choice to engage or to step back, to heal or to hold firm. You quietly buy the entire block surrounding the Glenworth Club, not to flaunt, but to create space. Space where your family can see the full scope of what you've built, not for them, but for yourself. You start a scholarship fund quietly named after your late grandfather. A gesture not for applause, but to honor your roots and the resilience it took to rise. Power, you realize, is less about control and more about peace. Owning the space, yes, but owning yourself first. You watch from a distance as the family slowly adjusts. Some reach out, some retreat. You stay steady, a quiet force. And in that stillness, you find your truth, that you don't need their validation to be whole. You own not just a venue, but a new chapter 1 written on your terms. No grand speeches, no dramatic endings. Just the calm certainty of knowing you're finally home. You wake up with a sense of calm purpose, the kind that comes only after storms settle. The bruises of the past still throb faintly, but they no longer dictate your steps. Today marks a new chapter 1 where you build on your own terms. You start meeting people outside the familiar circles of family and old ties. Coffee with local entrepreneurs, calls with community leaders, quiet lunches with potential partners who see you not as an outsider but as a force of your own making. These meetings are different. No hidden agendas, no comparisons, no need to prove yourself. Just honest conversations rooted in mutual respect and shared vision. You find satisfaction in this fresh ground. It's fertile with possibility. At night, you pore over plans for new ventures, sketching ideas that blend your values with ambition. Your scholarship fund grows quietly but steadily. You see faces in your mind, young people who will get chances you never had. It's not about erasing the past. It's about crafting a future where your worth is undeniable, not because of family ties, but because of your own work. And slowly, you feel something you hadn't expected: belonging. Not to a family that cast you out, but to a community you're helping to build. It's quieter, less glamorous, but it's yours. And that makes all the difference. You didn't expect the call. It comes one rainy afternoon from an old family friend, someone you'd barely spoken to in years. Their voice is tentative, but warm. "I've been watching," they say. "You're doing something real. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." It's unexpected, an olive branch thrown across years of distance and silence. You meet them in a quiet cafe, the scent of rain mixing with coffee beans. They listen without judgment, offer advice without strings. They become an unexpected ally, a steady presence as you navigate the complexities of your new life. This person helps open doors not flashy, but meaningful. Introductions to people who care more about integrity than lineage. Opportunities that feel like the natural next step, not a desperate grasp. Their support reminds you that alliances aren't always born from blood. Sometimes they come from respect earned through perseverance. You realize that part of your growth isn't just about what you build, but who you let in. You learn to trust again, carefully, selectively. And in this unexpected partnership, you find renewed hope, a reminder that even the loneliest journeys can lead to connection. The past has a way of creeping in when you least expect it. One evening, as you're closing your office, a familiar face appears, someone who once knew you before the silence grew too loud. Their presence stirs memories you thought you'd locked away. Old arguments, unspoken hurts, and the weight of years without resolution press on your chest. You feel the familiar ache, the doubt, the loneliness, the question of whether it was all worth it. For a moment, the hard-earned peace wavers. You grapple with the ghosts of family dinners where your voice was ignored, the cold looks, the whispered judgments. But this time, something's different. You don't let the past consume you. Instead, you face it, acknowledge the pain, and remind yourself of how far you've come. You realize that the shadows of the past don't have to dictate your future. You can hold them, learn from them, and still move forward. The journey isn't perfect, and it never will be, but it's yours. And that truth steadies your heart like nothing else. You begin to understand that forgiveness is not about forgetting or excusing the past. It's about freeing yourself from its hold. The anger, the resentment they've been heavy chains around your heart for too long. You sit quietly one morning, sunlight filtering through the window, and make a choice. Not for them, but for you. You start small. You write letters, you don't send speak words. You didn't say, release grudges you carried silently. You don't pretend wounds don't exist. You honor them by learning from them. Forgiving doesn't mean returning to old patterns or accepting mistreatment. It means reclaiming your power, choosing peace over pain, growth over bitterness. It's a slow, sometimes painful process, but with every breath you feel lighter, more whole. You realize that forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, a way to untangle your spirit from the past's web and step into freedom. It's not an end, but a beginning. A doorway to a life where your worth is defined not by others' judgments, but by your own grace. You stand on the threshold of something new, the city lights twinkling like distant promises beyond your window. This is your legacy in the making, not a mansion built on exclusion or resentment, but a life rooted in authenticity and freedom. You've learned that true ownership isn't about property or wealth alone. It's about owning your story, your choices, your truth. The scholarship fund grows, the business expands quietly but firmly. More than money, you invest in values, integrity, kindness, resilience. You mentor young entrepreneurs, sharing lessons learned in shadows and light. You build a community where people are seen for who they are, not what they wear or where they come from. Occasionally, your family reaches out tentative and changed. You listen, but you keep your boundaries firm. You don't need their approval. You've created your own space, a place where you belong because you chose to belong. And in this new chapter, you find something precious: peace without compromise, strength without bitterness, and a legacy worth leaving. You smile softly, knowing that the journey continues steady, purposeful, and fully yours. Even as the calm settles into your life, new challenges arise, unexpected, sometimes subtle, sometimes sharp. Business decisions test your resolve. Relationships demand patience you're still learning to master. There are moments when doubt creeps in, whispering old fears. Can you truly sustain this? Can you keep balancing ambition with peace? You remind yourself that growth isn't linear. It's a winding path with peaks and valleys. When setbacks come, you meet them with steady breath and clear mind. You rely on lessons learned from the past, the quiet strength forged in exclusion, and perseverance. You develop a deeper patience, understanding that some battles aren't won in a day, but through consistent, thoughtful steps. And with every challenge faced and overcome, you build not just your business, but your character. The journey continues not as a race, but as a steady walk towards something lasting. You begin to open doors you once kept shut, building bridges where walls once stood. It's not always easy. Old wounds make vulnerability feel risky, but you learn that connection is a form of strength. Reaching out to those you once distanced yourself from, you find unexpected warmth. Conversations that once seemed impossible slowly take shape, honest and unguarded. You nurture new friendships grounded in respect and shared values, people who see you wholly without judgment or pretense. These relationships teach you that power isn't just about standing alone, it's about standing together. You discover the healing in forgiveness, not just of others, but of yourself. With each new connection, you weave a network of support that bolsters your resilience and enriches your life. You realize that true strength lies in balance, honoring your independence, while embracing the beauty of community. And in this delicate dance, you find a deeper joy than any victory alone could offer. You decide to mark this chapter of your life with a quiet celebration. No grand parties, no extravagant displays, just a simple gathering of the people who've journeyed alongside you and those you've chosen to welcome into your circle. The room is warm, with soft lighting, laughter spilling easily between conversations. You watch faces bright with genuine smiles, the ease of connection filling the space with a peaceful energy. In this moment, there's no shadow of past wounds, no weight of old grievances. There's only presence, gratitude, and the hum of shared stories. You raise a glass not to wealth or status, but to growth, resilience, and the courage to choose your own path. You realize that this sense of belonging, this calm confidence, is the true reward. The past will always be a part of you, but it no longer defines you. You close your eyes briefly, savoring the stillness beneath the noise. And in that quiet joy, you find your own kind of victory. No need for others to recognize it. You know it. And that's enough. The night draws to a gentle close, the soft glow of candles flickering like quiet reminders of how far you've come. The weight of old stories fades, replaced by a lightness that fills your chest with warmth and calm. You breathe slowly, deeply, feeling the steady rhythm of your own heart, the pulse of resilience and renewal. This journey hasn't been easy. It's been marked by moments of pain, doubt, and silence, but it's also been filled with strength, clarity, and the quiet power of choosing yourself. As the world outside settles into darkness, you find peace in the stillness within. No grand endings are needed, only the steady unfolding of life, one calm breath at a time. And if you're still awake, that's okay too. Some nights just lying still and breathing softly is enough to return home to yourself.